Good evening and welcome to a very special edition of Gym Crashers Live with special guest Richard Arreola.
Yep.
How are you, man?
Hey, how you doing?
I'm doing wonderful. So glad to have you.
Oh, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Now, we're all on lockdown. It's quarantine time. California is not in business, but we're doing our thing. And I got a story for you because Richard is a very special guy. You know, if you just read a little bit about him, and that's all I did because I prefer to ask him about himself. There's a history of wrestling with him and his brother. There's his jiu-jitsu skills that we can talk about and his accolades. I mean, 3-time world champion in, I believe it was, worlds. I don't know. I read all these different things. There's all these different high-level jiu-jitsu things, and they're all with Richard's name. I'm like, wow, I've got so much to talk about. But starting with wrestling. Now, you mentioned it earlier. You're a pro wrestling fan. When did you start wrestling?
Well, I started wrestling around, I want to say when I was 14 years old. I wrestled in high school, and at Fullerton High School. I to be honest with you, I didn't have the intention on wrestling. I was actually a basketball player. I played basketball all through grade school. I was in Boys and Girls Club leagues and everything, and it was something that I was very passionate about. So my goal was just to make it in basketball, to maybe get a college scholarship if I got lucky.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, well, that didn't play out so well. Basically, the first day of practice in high school, my freshman year, I was cut from the team by a new teacher, like a fresh young face, and he told me, yeah, I'm sorry, kid, you just don't meet the height requirement. Like,
really?
He literally told me that, and he cut me from the team. So I was kind of bummed out. A little bit, depressed that I wasn't going to be able to fulfill my basketball, career. And then a high school chum of mine just invited me to come up to a wrestling room. I guess you're supposed to eat pizza or something, because that's what kids did back in the 90s.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, let's go eat pizza. So I want to go pick him up at the wrestling room, and I didn't even know we even had a wrestling room in high school. I go upstairs, and I guess I didn't know they had a ritual where they take a non-wrestler, once you walk in there, they beat you up. And I pretty much got my head smashed in, and my friend even participated in it.
Of course,
and
then, he got jumped in.
Yeah, and then after that, I kind of just, I was upset, I was beat up, and I said, okay, well, I'm gonna go back the next day. I already took a mental note. This is the guy who hit me. That's the guy who hit me. I'm gonna come back, and I'm gonna see him again tomorrow, and I'm gonna beat them up. I went back the next day, and I got my head smashed in again.
Of course.
Yeah, the coach said, hey, look, if you're gonna be coming back here, then here's some wrestling shoes. So. Yeah, it stuck with me. I kept wrestling ever since. And I wrestled in college with my brother at Santa Ana College under Vince Silva, and I did a lot of freestyle wrestling, a lot of Greco. So did me and my brother, and that's all we did is we eat, slept, and breathed wrestling. It was part of our lives.
Sounds like that's what you still do. So I love that about you. So that first day you get in there, these kids are ready to bully you up. Is it a takedown? They shoot on you and pop you on your back real quick?
I remember someone getting me in a headlock, throwing me to the ground, and
wow.
then next thing you know, like 6 or 8 of them started dogpiling me. And then after that, they were just twisting me into a pretzel, and I couldn't do anything.
Of course.
Yeah. So I just...
Not with 8 guys.
Yeah.
Even with your first day of jiu-jitsu, and you think, I can do this, and then you realize you can't swim. You're drowning.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Exactly
but with
right.
8 guys, I can't even imagine.
Yeah, but the coach told me, said, hey, look, you keep coming back here, and you keep getting your head... Yeah, he's like, you keep getting your head kicked in. Why? I said, well, because I want to be able to beat him. All right, well, meaning the guys that would beat me
Absolutely.
up, and there was a lot of them that were beating me up. So he would just tell me, well, okay, well, as long as you're gonna be here, let's work on your technique. Let's get you ready. And so yeah, my coach took me under his wing, and actually 2 coaches I had, they trained me, and I just kept wrestling, and I fell in love with it. I just kept going to all the weekend tournaments, all the because in Orange County here we have a lot of wrestling tournaments here, and they're dirt cheap, like $15.
Yeah.
Like you can go to a local high school, you can get about like 6 to 10 matches, So I would go and just get a bunch of matches in, and I'd go to a lot of off-season open rooms at other high schools, and I would just wrestle because I loved wrestling so bad, and I would watch a lot of films of Dan Gable, the Brands brothers, and John Smith, and everything. And then I would introduce my brother. Of course, my little brother at the time, he was just a kid, and we would watch professional wrestling. But then my little brother started coming to my wrestling matches, and then he got into it. And then after that, I would bring him by the wrestling room. I would take him to local, tournaments when he became of age, where he was able to start wrestling. And then he was just same thing. He took his lickings, but he kept coming back. And
he's in it,
and now he was killing everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and he got better in college. College, he got scary.
Incredible.
Yeah.
So does that help with jiu-jitsu when you first start, or did it hinder your jiu-jitsu because of being on your back, not being comfortable, being pinned?
In the beginning, with the whole back situation, yeah, I didn't really like it so much, because obviously we were taught not to be on our back, so it was sacrilegious, It was like, we got taken to our,
out.
Yeah, so we got taken to our back, it's like, we get off right away, we get right to our feet.
Yeah.
But yes, without a doubt, I felt I had a huge advantage in when I started training jiu-jitsu. I started training no gi in the beginning, and when I started training no gi, then I was just taking people down, and then I was trying to get past their legs, but you're sloppy white belt, you're just throwing legs aside, but yeah, I felt the wrestling was a huge advantage. It's still to this very day my advantage, but now I pick and choose it, because I think as you progress in your belt, you understand that wrestling is not always going to solve a lot of jiu-jitsu problems.
I can see that, because jiu-jitsu does have answers for certain things. Now, it doesn't answer everything from wrestling, but I can definitely understand that part of it. Did you start with one jiu-jitsu?
Yes. Yeah, actually, before we were One Jiu-Jitsu, we were Lotus Club.
Okay.
Yeah, we were Lotus Club, and the first gym I joined was in 2012. Yes, 2012, at Timo Yama in Irvine, and that's when Professor Jiva Santana and Professor Mo Kayat were there, and I started there with them, and then later on we left and opened, and that's when Jiva and Mo opened up their gym, One Jiu-Jitsu. So I've had the same coaches since day one.
Very cool.
So I was very fortunate of that, and these are both, very important people in my life. They made a huge impact in my life. And then they introduced me to jiu-jitsu, and I love it. And since then, I've just been training. I just celebrated 8 years training this month.
That's incredible, because I've seen you roll. I know what you're all about. In 8 years, I'm like, man, how does that happen in 8 years? Because you're at that high level of, the upper echelon of jiu-jitsu competitors in Orange County, Southern California, and maybe beyond that. But that's an amazing accomplishment.
Well, thank you. I like anything else, when I want to accomplish something, I just apply myself.
Yeah.
And I become very, very like crazy OCD obsessive. Like I just obsess over it in terms of like I study what I need to do. I focus on things that I need to do in order to perform and get better. Obviously, when I first started training jiu-jitsu, my goals have changed. Because when I first started training jiu-jitsu, when you're a wrestler who came from a hyper competitive background, and you find out, wow, I can compete in jiu-jitsu, and then you go in there kind of thinking like, okay, I'm just gonna wrestle everyone. And yeah, it worked in the beginning, but when I started progressing more towards blue belt, that's where you started seeing a difference. I started seeing a lot of guys that were playing guard, or sweeping me, were catching me in submissions with their legs and things like that. And sure enough, that's when I think it was I won Nogi Worlds as a blue belt, and when I went back the next year as a blue belt to defend my title, I lost to a wrestler who was better than me, and another college wrestler, and he had a solid elbow pass, so he kept catching me, and he set it up very nice, and but here's the thing, he was taking me down, and I was already down 2-0, and then all of a sudden my coach screams from the stands, "Hey, pull guard!" And like at that time, I just started playing guard. I know as a blue belt, that's sad, but
No, I understand that we all have different games. So it makes perfect sense to me.
So I pulled guard on him, and when I pulled guard, the guy didn't have an answer. He didn't even know like what just happened here. It's like he sat on his butt. What do I do? But by that time, I was playing on my butt. I was still a little new at playing on my guard, and then when I went for a sweep, I swept him out of bounds, so the points didn't count, and then time ran out, and then sure enough, I think I lost 2-0. But imagine if I would have been playing on my butt a lot sooner, then I probably would have been sweeping, probably would have swept him. Who knows? Maybe the match could have ended differently.
Or if there was no clock, if it was submission only, right? Who knows? There's all the variables.
Yeah.
But it's an interesting thing. I can see how categorized you memorize things, such as early fights. Most people wouldn't remember all the details, but you remember all those intricacies.
I remember everything.
That's amazing, dude. So that plays into what you have become and are becoming. So that's kind of amazing to me, dude.
Thank you. And I remember a lot what my coaches tell me, even though sometimes I'm quiet most of the time.
Yeah.
But I know that when my coaches, like for instance, after I lost that, I ended up at that tournament I just told you, I ended up getting a third place at Nogi Worlds, and I was very upset. I know people will be like, "Wow, you made the podium."
Yeah, it's
but,
good.
That's not the standard I set that's the standard I set for myself. It necessarily doesn't have to be for other people or my students. This is the standard that I choose to live by. and I have to hold myself accountable. So anyway, what happened was after I had that taste of the bronze, the next day I was very upset, and then my coach kind of told me, he says, did you like the way that felt? I'm like, no, I don't like the way that felt. I said, do you ever want to feel that again? I said, no, sir. And he said, all right. And and this is what he told me. He says, you're gonna sit on your butt. And you're gonna stay on your butt until I say you can come up. He says, you're gonna play guard, and if I see you come up, unless it's for a takedown, meaning like if I hit like a takedown off my guard and come up for it, but other than that, I can't come back up to my feet and stand up and take my opponent down. 'Cause that's all I'm used to doing in practice.
So sweep, submit.
Yes. So in other words, he made me play on my butt for a whole year.
Wow.
Yeah, and he held me accountable. He even told me, he said, hey, if you stand up, there's going to be a problem. I said, no, sir, I'm going to stay on my butt. So I played on my butt, and I took all the abuse that came with it. I got my guard passed. I got smashed. I got beat up. I had to learn to play De La Hiva, reverse De La Hiva, all this stuff. And believe me, it was the best thing I think he ever did for me. And he's done a lot of great things for me.
And that was with Guy.
This is with Guy.
I was going to say, because there's a lot more going on with Guy.
I learned to play guard with Guy in the Gi first, and then from there that transitioned to my no Gi.
Sure.
And when it did, I was like, oh my goodness, it's like it works. It's like it transitions. It's like
handles.
Yes, and when people say that it doesn't, that's not true. It does.
Yeah.
And it makes a huge difference. It strengthens your grips. It gives you a better insight on opening positions and whatnot. So I think it's really important to train the Gi. You know? I love no-gi. I'm not gonna lie.
Sure.
I resisted.
Bread and butter, man.
Yeah, I resisted the gi in the beginning. I'm not gonna lie. I resisted in the beginning. Like when I started training jiu-jitsu, I trained no-gi for probably a few months, and then that's under Professor Mo, and then that's when I met Jiva, and then that's when I got encouraged to put the gi on. So I think I trained for like 2 months, 3 months in the no gi, and that's all I want to do is no gi. And when I first put the gi on, I couldn't stand it because people were grabbing me, my collar, and I couldn't do nothing. So I just thought to myself, this is cheating. And then I always would say to them, well, at least in my mind, I would say, you know what, you're nothing without your grips.
You develop instincts. That's one thing that happens. And maybe your defense does become better because there is more opportunity to choke, to sweep because of all those handles.
Yes.
So those instincts come with you to no-gi. So I love that part of it. And you don't know that. You don't know you're going to become a Jedi, by the time you're a brown or black belt. But you develop those things that are instinctual, and it can't be explained other than mat time.
Yes, I agree with you. And I think that's something that didn't quite begin to sink in when I started teaching. When I first started teaching jiu-jitsu, I know it sounds weird, but I started teaching as a blue belt.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I started
I believe in it because when you teach, you share.
Yes.
What you share, you grow in.
Yes.
So I believe in that.
Yes, it made me a lot more knowledgeable in terms of just, okay, after watching my students, watching how they move, then I think to myself, it's like, now you see it from a different perspective. I think you learn a lot better as a practitioner, and it definitely makes you a better coach. But I think I didn't begin to start seeing things sink in. I would say until I was probably about on the 4th stripe of my blue belt. That's when I was going into purples, where I started kind of seeing things a bit differently, kind of sort of humbling myself and understanding that this is something that should be taken seriously, and this is something that you should really take time and develop a sense of humility in the technique, and understand that it's okay to lose sometimes in practice. Because I called myself a gym hero. A gym hero is somebody that that cares more about winning in practice than actually like trying to get better. And that was me in the beginning. I was a gym hero. I cared more about winning in practice, and to the point to where I would cause myself to get injured, or I would sometimes hurt other people. Just because I was spazzy.
Oh yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah, and I had to come to a point where it's like, okay, well, instead of focusing on trying to win, focus on trying to get better. Try to become a better student. Really listen. Don't space out when the coach teaches or says something.
Yeah.
Actually pay attention and actually apply the technique. And then more importantly, try and I started doing something where whenever a coach would teach me something, I would take that technique and try and see if I can hit it on that practice.
Wow.
Yeah.
Toughest thing in the world. Everybody in the class just learned the same thing.
Yeah.
And they know you're coming after them, and you're still trying to nail it. So I love that.
Yeah.
That's a tough time to do that, especially since most people, not everybody, come to class regularly. We're all trying to do the same things, and they know you're coming after them. There's always a handful, not many, but guys that I've met throughout the years that can just do what they say they're going to do. I'm going to take your arm. Well, no, you're not going to take my arm, and then they got your arm. So I can see that in you, man. That kind of focus, that laser focus. Is that something that Jiva really drives home with you?
Yeah, I learned that from a lot of coaches.
Mm-hmm.
I've been fortunate enough to be surrounded by really good coaches in my lifetime. Both when I was a wrestling coach, and both in college, and then of course Jiva. So I was very fortunate to have good coaches in wrestling and in jiu-jitsu. So
Hell
yeah,
yeah.
that's something that I did learn from Professor. Also too, I learned it from a man by the name of Vince Silva, who was my college wrestling coach at Santa Ana College. He pretty much taught me to really. He pretty much taught me to go for. He taught us all of us, to go for what we want and understand that there's a heavy price to come with it. You have to be willing to do what others aren't willing to do. You can't be normal. You can't like be right in the head. You have to be kind of a bit off, and I'm okay with that. You know, I'm perfectly fine with that. And you can even tell because some of the guys who wrestled under Vince Silva and wrestled for our team, they're a little off. They're a little off, and it's because we're taught to be machines. Like, just when we go after something, we're 100% all in and committed to it. Just tunnel vision, not interested in the outside noise or distractions, just 100% robotic, and sometimes even quiet. That's because we're busy working. That's like the attitude and the mentality we've always had. And then Professor, I felt, Jiva, what I learned from him was humility. And understanding that this takes time, and you should want to commit and give it the respect that it deserves. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And, I learned a lot of stuff from Professor, but I feel like that's one of the biggest things I think that stood out to me was more the humility.
Yeah, I think that's accurate as well. And you get to that point where ego has to be in check to continue the growing process, because you can learn a considerable amount between white and blue. There are blue belts that are even difficult to this day. And you first meet them, you're like, you're only a blue belt? But the humility, the ego check, and the growth that comes in purple is kind of amazing, because then sometimes you get a purple belt that we were just talking about earlier. You were telling me, I forget his name, but I think he went up against Keenan Cornelius.
Oh, yeah, Roberto Jimenez.
That's right.
Yeah.
And a monster at purple, I think you said. And I can identify with that. Some of these guys, belt takes a secondary appeal to me if I know that somebody has a lot of years in. You know what I mean? Just because they haven't really got to that brown or black level doesn't mean that they're not masters, of what they're doing. So I get it.
Yeah, no, I'm right there with you. I think if anything with when it comes to belts, I think each chapter, or they're belts. I call them chapters.
Those are long chapters, dude.
Yes, I think
3 years long each, if not more sometimes.
Tell me about it. Yeah, no, but I think that each chapter teaches you something.
Yeah,
I think purple is where I really began to kind of submit myself and just completely just release the ego, because I found myself getting hurt a lot, and it was because of me. It was because of my own ego, and I said to myself, well, imagine if I didn't have an ego. Imagine imagine what I can do. And I had to humble myself. And I had to say to myself, focus on the growth, focus on growing, and focus on paying attention, listening, and really trying to apply the technique more, improve your position, and not trying to always go for the kill, because I would always try and go for the kill, and then now it's different. Now my goals have changed, but but I know that since purple, I felt like that was a really important belt for me. Purple belt was a really big. It was a belt where I experienced a lot of hardship. Actually, blue was kind of the same way, but I felt like purple, I experienced a lot of hardship, but at the same time, I felt that's where the Mad IQ began to sink in. I felt like that I was able to mature a lot as a coach, as a competitor, especially in the practice room, and that's where I started thinking more about others instead of myself. And that's where I said to myself, if I'm gonna do this, because I've been taking for a long time, meaning when you take, you train, when you train, you compete a lot, it's all about your accolades, but I wanted to give something back. I wanted to really focus on becoming a really good coach and being a really good teacher to my students, and more importantly, I wanted to lead by example. And but I know that the purple belt was a good, really, really good belt for me at the same time, because I was able to go through a lot of, a competition adversity. I mean, there's guys that I fought. I think there was one guy that I fought. His name is Leo Ofure. That's his name. He trains out of I forgot he trains out of Chicago.
Okay.
But he's a monster. And
already going national though, dude. You're across states now.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, he's a monster. And what happened was I met him at No-Gi Worlds, and I was looking to finally get my an IBJJF No-Gi World title purple. I had to go through him. First round, I lost, and he beat me pretty convincingly. He had a really good guard. He had a really nice butterfly guard. And anyway, I traveled all the way to San Francisco to Daly City, I think. It was Daly City,
just south of the city. I know exactly.
Exactly. I went all the way to San Francisco, and to lose like that was like it was kind of nerve-wracking.
Yeah.
So
it's hard to lose, dude, at first, right?
Yeah, especially when you travel and you go that far.
Yeah.
So
and when you're really achieving results at your home gym, because you're ready to go.
Yeah, I'm ready to go.
I know that feeling all too well.
Yeah. Yeah, and sure enough, anyway, I wasn't able to beat him at the IBJJF tournament, but then the SJJF tournament in Long Beach, which is a tournament I really like to compete in. It was the following month, and sure enough, he was in the bracket. When I saw him, I said, "Let's do this. Let's do this." He's doing gi and no gi, so I'm gonna fight him more than once. So sure enough, gi day one, it's gi day. Me and him went at it. We ended up going to overtime, and he's a really good gi player. And it ended up, I think the final score was 0-0, but in overtime, I think he hit me with a submission, and because over there the rules are different.
Sure.
For overtime rules. And anyway, he hit me with the submission, caught me in a triangle, and I ended up getting second. So, and day two was the next day, which was
second
no-gi.
place is not bad, bro. Come on. But I feel you.
Yeah.
Okay. So next day, Sunday, no-gi day.
Sunday, and Sunday was crazy too, because on that Sunday, I was teaching at Cal State Fullerton, and my students from Cal State were also competing alongside that day too. So I was coaching them.
That's the best.
Yeah, I was coaching them, and then I was getting ready for Lior for another rematch. And sure enough, I see all my kids. I think I had like 2 kids, but yeah, they both placed. And then after that, finally it was my match with Lior, and then we met again in the final, and for no gi. And man, it was a dogfight. I think the final score was, I want to say it was like 3-1. Yeah, 3-1. But anyway,
back and forth.
Yeah, it was 3-1. But I just remember what my coach told me. He's a butterfly. He's a butterfly genius. So I had to, just not go down on my knees, because if you're down on your knees, you're gonna get hit with a butterfly.
Yeah.
I had to stand on my feet. So when I started standing passing with him, it changed the game completely. I was able to pass his guard and beat him, and you could just saw that my buddy Rick, he captured it on a video. And I just remember after the match was over, I just covered my face, and the time ran out, and I hit the floor because I was crying, because I was so happy, because I had to. I lost to this guy, at IBJJS. I lost to him on gi day, and then no-gi, finally to get him is something that really meant a lot to me. It's because there are times where I thought to myself, you know what, every fight that I went with him, I felt like I was closing the gap little by little. When I finally shut that gap, it felt awesome. It felt awesome. So that's why I felt that belt rank really held a lot of value to me, especially plus I won the Masters Worlds, and that was a tough
savage
tournament.
Dude. Those are accomplishments. And it's a tough world. I mean, people talk about tournaments not being fair. Maybe you're not from a certain place where the judges are from. All those things come into play, and yet you're just focused on taking your opponent out. And that's the right way to be. You can't let all those other things bother you.
Yeah, and then and then after the match, I talked to Lior, and we ended up becoming friends. Like now, we're Facebook friends.
That's
and
cool.
We message each other once in a while. He just got his black belt. Congratulations, Lior, by the way. So yeah, so he's a monster, man, and that's what I love about jiu-jitsu. It's like we're able to be friends, hang out, share common interests, and in the end, we're all just people that just have jobs and just have families and just love doing this, and that's what it's all about. It's a great community, and I'm really happy to be a part of it.
Yeah, no, I mean, the community's lucky to have guys like you. It's someone that leads by example, like you said, not only taking a tournament, but taking people to the tournament that you train. That's big. A lot of times guys are hollering out. I mean, you can hear them and like, really? Are you the right person to be telling them what to do? Because it looks like they're rolling just fine without you. You know what I mean? But when I see a super good coach and then they've got their people rolling with them, I know there's a lot of heart and there's pressure. but there's pride too.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Because nobody wants to not perform in front of their coach.
Yeah.
But when you're putting it on the line too, then they're like, oh well, he's doing it. I got to do it. So you know, it's awesome.
Yeah, that's something that I see that a lot now in the jiu-jitsu. It's something like you don't really see that much in wrestling because most of the wrestling coaches either some wrestle but some don't. Majority of them don't. So therefore,
maybe their days have already passed.
Yeah,
it's a different sport.
Yeah, it's a definitely a more intense sport. But but with jiu-jitsu, it's awesome because like you can coach and then you can go compete and I, that's what my coaches do and that's what I do and I love it. It's pretty awesome. Yeah, so and that's why I love about this sport is just it's a very welcoming and it's a really good spirit community.
Agreed.
I really like it.
Agreed. Yeah, the community itself kind of amazing. I see you at events. Maybe one day you're competing. Now you're reffing, coaching. I mean, you wear a lot of hats, dude.
Yeah.
Really?
Well, the reffing thing was something that's a new chapter. I just
dig
opened up. Albert asked me to work the submission on the shores.
Yep.
I was honored to be a part of it. It was really cool to see a lot of amazing young women perform.
Wasn't that so cool?
I mean, it's just really cool to see the athletes and whatnot. It's just, I mean, I like the matchups. The matchups are really cool.
Exciting.
I like to see just some of the matches were pretty. Like were dog fights.
I know it.
Yeah, they were really cool. Like the gi fights, the no gi fights, and obviously as a ref you have to really be in tune with what you're doing and everything. And me, I've refed probably a couple of like in-house tournaments before and a couple of college tournaments, but this would be my first big stage one that just happened.
Yeah.
And but it was cool though. Yeah, it was really cool, and I like the takedown overtime rules.
Very cool.
And I think that's a really cool twist to decide the winner and whether if both the competitors want to choose to have an overtime, that's pretty cool.
Albert's cool. I really think that's going to be a successful event when the world starts working again.
Yeah.
Queen Mary, amazing venue, all ladies, and then I know he announced it, but it's we're kind of in a place where we're not sure what the near future holds, but he's got a location in San Diego, and I believe it was the Midway.
Ooh.
So I don't know if you guys have been, but Midway's a killer battleship to be on.
Ooh.
Could you imagine? I mean, I think that's open to guys too. I'll let Albert tell you, but it's coming.
I never been on the Midway.
Midway's killer.
Really?
It's like it houses, or at the time in World War II, it housed 4,000 people. That tells you how big it is. Launching planes off of it. You got to go. I mean, if they don't open it to guys and somehow you're involved again, go. Like, make sure I love Subs on the Shore. I mean, that was the one event, and now it's like the event.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I dig what they really accomplished with that, and it was so fun.
Yeah.
So fun. So I can't wait to see when things actually get back in order in California, what happens, you know?
Yeah. I'm sure everyone would like to get back on the mats and get back to doing what we love. I know we're all I know it's a rough time and we're all trying to get through it together and everything, but if I can encourage anyone just to please be positive and keep your mind occupied and try something that you've always wanted to try.
That's right.
Learn something new and just stay active. Because the head, after a while, if you
that's the big part of it. I mean, you mentioned earlier, and I think you put it very correctly, that you're a little off, but that's what makes a champion. I don't know the champions that don't have that. I don't see that, and it's that drive, it's that focus, and it's the ability to give up on almost everything everybody else is into to shoot for that one thing that is what you want.
Yeah, and a lot of people, and a lot of people don't know too. Except some of my teammates. But my first jiu-jitsu tournament, I didn't win. I didn't win my first jiu-jitsu tournament. My first jiu-jitsu tournament was a grappling X no-gi tournament.
Wow.
And I got caught in a triangle by the same guy twice.
Damn.
Yeah. So
humbling.
Yeah. I think it was the first round, and then we dropped down to the third place round, and he got me again.
Really?
And then
he just was able to pull your arm in because you know better, 2 in, 2 out.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that was my first tournament as a white belt, and then I remember the picture.
I remember those lessons all too well.
Yeah, tell me.
What am I doing here again?
Well, here's the thing. After that tournament, we all took a group picture because we took about 4 guys, and everyone got medals except me. So you see everyone in the picture, my coach, all the medalists, and then there's me. That I did.
Shocking.
Yeah. So that picture still kind of is like ingrained in my skull. So I think I don't like that picture. Sure. I mean, we're all smiling, but I'm like, you see my face, like, oh, okay, this sucks. So I think what happened was after that, because in wrestling, when you lose, like we take losing a lot more seriously.
Yeah. I can see that.
Yeah. Because back in college, when you lose, it was a big deal. It was a big deal when you lose. You you have to go run laps. You got to go. It's almost like we had to greet it with a consequence, and it sucked.
It's a tough mentality to put yourself through, man.
Yeah, and so what happened was after I lost the match, I was upset. I was about to go run some laps. My coach was like, "Hey, where you going?" I'm like, "Oh, I'm gonna go to the track." He's like, "Why?" I'm gonna go run some laps. For what? Like, it's like, no, man. Like, so it's like that's when like I kind of understood that. Okay, this is it's a different sport, a different attitude. Yeah. So now my coach just told me, "Hey, look, well, you had a rough showing, but you know what? What are you gonna do about it? Just get back to the gym and keep working." And it was pretty cool how like he kind of introduced me to that kind of attitude where like, hey, you know what? It's okay to fail because you get another opportunity. Yeah. Just go back to the practice room, get back in the practice room, improve, fix your mistakes, and just keep moving forward. And sure enough, after that tournament, I just kept going. And I just kept going and going and going and haven't stopped.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing. In jiu-jitsu, you can't learn by always winning. It's not going to happen. You're already just good at certain things. That's what that is. Yeah. But until you get caught, then the learning has to happen because what am I doing wrong? Yeah. Right? Where are my feet? Where are my arms? What am I doing? What am I leaving dangling? Things like that. So yeah, I hate to use the word losing, but yes, may have lost a round. Yeah. May have lost a series of rounds, but what comes out of that is growth and opportunity, and then rethinking your own game, which is an amazing thing.
Some of the best lessons came from me losing a lot.
And it hurts.
Yeah, it hurts, both in competition and in life. Yeah. Because if you think about it, it's all the same thing. Yeah. We gain and we lose. I think how you respond to it is everything. Yeah. And that's one thing I try to do better. I've gotten better over time, but that's one thing I like to pass on to my students is how you respond to your adversity. Because believe me, we all have situations going on in our life. We all have situations going on the mat, and I think that's what jiu-jitsu teaches us, how to handle those situations, how we respond. That part's important.
It's a big one. Yeah. Yeah, and it helps with, we all have lives. You got so many hours a day doing other things, and then when you come roll, that shut-off button happens because you got somebody attacking you. So as much as you want to continue focusing on whatever those bad things are, it has to shut off. Yeah. Or someone's going to choke you or take your arm or your neck, whatever they're going to do. And jiu-jitsu really allows and teaches us to let go. I think that's super important. And that's my biggest learning. That's what I tell people that haven't stepped into the jiu-jitsu world. If you're wondering why we're so addicted to it, that's my thing, is that I do so much outside of jiu-jitsu that when I get in there, it's the one thing I love and that I can focus and I can do, and I can't think about anything else. Good, bad, whether I lose or win, it's all secondary to just rolling and just spending time with friends, because you don't really get that as an adult. You would know this. As a young man, you're wrestling, and the camaraderie that you get and the pals and the wins and the losses. You don't get that as an adult. And all of a sudden, just in the last 10 years, this sport of jiu-jitsu explodes. And people that did wrestle even tell me to this day, I just didn't think I was ever going to have that again. And now I've got it with jiu-jitsu. Yeah. All the brotherhood, you know what I mean? Yeah. All the talk, all the rolling itself, being on a mat, and then the level of intensity. You walk away with every bit of your body soaking wet. It's hard to do that when you're an adult and you're working. You got to go run up a few hills or something, lift weights. Yeah. So it's amazing to me, but I get that vibe from you that's kind of what you crave too.
Oh, I love it. Yeah, absolutely. The gym is my happy place. Just like the gym is your happy place, and when that's why I hope I won't put him on blast, but he knows I love him. My student Steve, he's 60 years old.
Love that.
And obviously, this is very new to him. Yeah. He's been training with me for about a year now. And when he first started training, he couldn't even squat. He couldn't even bend down and touch his knees, his toes. And now he's been training for a year, and he's hitting triangles on people. Think about it. This is a 60-year-old man.
That's amazing.
Yeah, who could barely touch his toes, and now he's hitting triangles on people, on kids like that are 18, 25 years old. And there's times where when I roll with him, and obviously when I roll with my students, I don't beat up my students. Sure. I fill them out. I kind of just assess them. I use it as an assessing opportunity. So I kind of give him position, and sometimes, but I let Steve pass my guard, and when he passed my guard, he took my back just quick, and I just thought to myself what just happened here? And all of a sudden he's in my back trying to strangle me, and it was a pretty proud moment for me. I know I'm being strangled, but it was a pretty proud moment for me, because I was thinking to myself, wow, look at this. It's we couldn't even bend down and touch his toes, and now he's hopping over bodies and strangling people
because he can see it and now he can do it.
Yes.
I often think that, and it may or not be true with everyone, but use it or lose it. So if you're not bending on a normal basis, you may find it difficult to bend. If you're not running, obviously it's going to be difficult to run.
Yeah.
So if you're rolling, it opens up a lot of that. So the opposite end of that equation is that years and years of jiu-jitsu, and can you still bend? I mean, the Meow Brothers, they got a certain walk.
Oh, man.
I love them, and I love everything that they've sacrificed to become who they become. But man, I like to walk upright. You know what I mean? It's just one of those things.
I know it's a price to pay, but I think it's a price that I'll happily pay. I'm not gonna lie. I've already come to terms with that, and I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
I know that there's gonna be times where I've been competing for 8 years now, and I have a ton of injuries. I probably should have surgery about now, but on some things.
Yeah, me
but
too.
I'm sure you agree. Yeah, you can relate.
I got 3 discs out in my neck, and
oh my gosh,
and I just haven't been the same in the last 3 years.
I think that's my biggest fear.
Yeah, it's the worst because I also ride a motorcycle, so I'll be riding and my arm will drop.
Oh my
Not
God.
safe.
Oh my goodness.
Because the nerve, if any interference, my left arm just goes.
Wow.
That's the kind of damage. So you got choices. You do surgery or you do holistic, and you do stretching and yoga, and you can hang yourself from some device that everybody decompression.
Yeah.
All these different things, but I'm not 100%. I'm not even 50 really, but I'm okay.
I've been using this Tim Tam machine, and it's really, really good. It's been really, really helpful. It's I know it's one of those those percussion guns.
Oh yeah. Robert's got one in house here somewhere.
He does.
He probably brought it home, but we have them here.
Yeah, this one heats up. The tip heats up.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, so it's really good. It's been really helping me out a lot. And I train a lot, and then lately, obviously, since we've been quarantined, I've been lifting a lot. I've been doing a lot of solo drills, so it's been really, really helping me. And I've been using that. I've been doing a lot of stretching. I've been doing a lot of movements. And I've been doing a lot of resistance bands. That's been helping out a lot.
Very cool.
Yeah, so
that's great advice for people. We're listening to the man, so
self-care,
I'm listening.
Yeah, self-care is very important. So if you can invest in self-care, please do. It's definitely worth it. I think the next step for me is probably get an ice tub. I'll probably start doing that.
Yeah, they say cryotherapy.
Yeah,
it's one of those things. Expensive. Ice tub's probably the better way to go about it.
Get a Rubbermaid tub on Amazon for like $100 and you're good.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
I saw one of those Warrior shows. Randy Couture was on it, and they put him in an ice tub. And his body could retain temperature better than an average human being, and he said it was because of wrestling. I don't understand the science behind it, other than he had such control over his breathing and his person that his body temperature just came back up and hypothermia was not going to set in, where other people would be hypothermic within a matter of 2 to 3 minutes, I think it was.
Well, I'm sure if Randy Couture wrestled for Oklahoma State. Yeah, and my coach wrestled for Oklahoma State, and he used to tell us that they would run the heater on. So I'm assuming that might play a factor.
I'm sure of it.
Yeah, because I'm sure I don't know if they do that much anymore nowadays because kids complain. But I know that when we wrestled, they turned the heater on, and if anything, I've got so accustomed to it. I love the heater. Like I run the heater when I train.
We roll here, summertime, second floor, doors closed.
Yeah,
might as well be a heater.
Yeah,
there's no air.
Yeah,
and then you put a gi on, and someone pulls your gi over your face.
Yeah,
it's like that much air.
Yeah,
I'm in the Himalayas. There's no oxygen whatsoever.
The walls are crying.
Oh yeah, there's nothing
everywhere.
but fog everywhere. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
but with the heater on, I can't even imagine.
Oh yeah,
it's crazy.
It's
not in California. I hear about this in Texas stuff, but
No, we do it here. I'm not sure if they do it in many wrestling rooms nowadays. I'm sure they probably do in some rooms, but I know kids complain. Heck, even adults complain. It's like I don't know, but that's just because we were brought up in that. We were brought up in the furnace.
It was a different world then, so you could do those things, and now they don't necessarily have the ability to, because parents have a lot more say. They're watching little things. I don't think they know how much we grew from that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They're a little sensitive is what I should say.
Yeah.
The world is a lot more sensitive today.
I agree with you 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, totally. I think that could play a factor on why Randy maybe is able to handle, the cold.
It's crazy, yeah. Just because you brought up ice baths, I saw that episode, and I was like, it's kind of amazing that he controls his body to such a degree. And I know that the Midwest, those wrestlers, D1 wrestlers like Daniel Cormier, those guys, he's got the dad bod, but he is arguably the best of the best. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So when you look at wrestlers and I think about what they can accomplish, and then they move into jiu-jitsu and then move into MMA, there's an understanding and manipulation of the body that occurs within those sports that make them champions. I really believe that.
Yeah.
It's almost like I can't come at you because the takedown's already coming. You know what I mean? You already know.
It's either the takedown, it's either the throw, it's either the top pressure, it's either the cardio.
Yeah, the conditioning.
The conditioning.
Yeah.
Obviously, just the ability just to keep going, the relentless attacking.
That's the other one.
Yeah.
So coming from only jiu-jitsu, I didn't have a wrestling background, and coming up against wrestlers at different places because we do gym crash and do our thing.
Sure.
Gosh, the drive of someone that has their foundation in wrestling to not give up that takedown, the relentlessness of a double leg that they're just pushing for, or even a single, and just dancing around the room till they grind you up against the wall and swoop your legs out from under you.
Yep.
I just understand that you guys are a different breed, like you said.
Yeah. No, I think in wrestling, walls are in, so the walls count. So they use the wall to take you down.
Hell yeah.
So I'm sure that's why in jiu-jitsu, when we get to the wall, we stop right off the bat. But I think that's one thing I'm enjoying about is that since being a coach now, and I'm getting wrestlers that show up to my gym, and we're teaching them and whatnot. It's good to see that drive, and then when you add jiu-jitsu to it, man, it just makes them even more. It makes them just even more of a stronger hybrid. I call them hybrids. Hybrid athletes, and I think it's a great base. I think it's something that teaches kids how to work hard. It teaches them good work ethic, good values. I think it's a really good opportunity for wrestlers to keep their grappling career going if they want to start doing jiu-jitsu.
Right. It's amazing what they can accomplish because you don't realize how connected they are and then how different they are for the growth to happen,
Absolutely. Like I was looking at that one match with was it Bo Nickel and Gordon Ryan. My goodness. I mean, granted, Gordon Ryan, he's awesome, but Bo Nickel, to suplex him and stuff like that, it's just you just see that
for someone to grab Gordon Ryan in that way and then be able to lock and then throw him over, well, I think the world was shocked.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, it's like my brother says, you play stupid games, you win stupid prizes.
Yeah. Your brother's a funny guy.
Don't turn your back to a wrestler. You're going to get dumped.
That's just crazy. So you mentioned that you started teaching as a blue belt. Was that within your own school or are you doing some privates?
No, that was at Cal State Fullerton.
Oh, cool.
What happened was in college, I was looking to make some extra money because I started when I was competing a lot. Obviously, we know jiu-jitsu is a very expensive sport, especially if you want to compete. So I needed some extra scratch, and I applied at the Titan Recreation Center, which is our main gym on campus at Cal State. And I applied for the front desk, you know what I mean, or to maybe I don't know, clean the locker room or whatever. And I think I submitted my resume, and then you had to leave a background of your sports and what you do and everything. And she said, "Oh, you train wrestling, you train jiu-jitsu, martial arts," and I'm like, "Yeah." And they're like, "Okay, so we're looking for an instructor." I'm like, "Well, I'm like wrestling I can teach because I've been coaching wrestling for years, but jiu-jitsu, I didn't feel really. Maybe I'm just critical of myself. I'm a blue belt. I didn't really feel real confident." She said, "Well, the job pays this much," and I'm like, "Okay, that could pay for a lot of tournaments. I'll take it." So I took the job, and
I love that.
Yeah, and we started in 2013 of October. Cal State Fullerton no-gi jiu-jitsu. The first class had five students. And those five.
That is more than some dojos have after 5 months, so don't feel bad.
Yeah.
Speaking from experience, you got to grind it out.
Yeah, you do. Yeah, and that's what that program taught me. We started off with 5 in 2013, and when we got to about 2016, we were about. That was just one class we had, and now we're teaching. I was teaching 4 classes a week, gi and no gi, and we're averaging I'd say about 30 to 45 students a class.
Killing it.
Yeah, at one point it got up to 60.
It's huge.
When it got to that point, we had to put a cap on the class.
I didn't even realize they had a program. I was looking through your stuff and I saw it. I was like, man, that's so cool.
Yeah, we're on Instagram at CSUF No-Gi. If you kind of scroll down the evolution, you can see how it started with 5 students, and then it just went on and just got bigger. It just caught like wildfire. And then after that, the students. I wasn't really I wasn't trying to prime the students for competition. I mainly was just teaching them the basics and the fundamentals that my coaches taught me.
Yeah.
Because it was primarily because most of the students were all very green.
Sure.
So I got very little upper belts. So what happened was when we were training, and obviously my students follow me on Instagram, and some students asked me, "Hey coach, we want to compete." I'm like, "Okay, you want to compete?" I'm like, "Yeah, we want to go for it." I'm like, "All right, well let's get you ready then if you want to do it." So we were having the students compete. We got the students registered as an official club, and we started competing against other schools in dual tournament and dual matches.
Wow.
Which is like team versus team format. And
I like that.
Yeah, and we started doing that against LA and UCI, and yeah, we were just beating everybody. Yeah.
So to get registered as a team, that was within the college.
Yeah, within the college. Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah, within the college. Yeah, we did very, very well. I think we won the UCI tournament, which was a pretty big tournament.
Hell
and,
yeah.
And
big school.
It's a big school, yeah, because I think the consistent programs during that time, well, still are UCI, Cal State LA, and then now USC, UCLA,
Oh yeah.
Cal State Northridge. And there's and now Long Beach we here just got started, so now there's schools, sprouting everywhere now, and I think a lot of it was because of us and UCI, because we've been the most consistent programs throughout the entire year. We're going to be celebrating our 7th anniversary soon.
That's awesome.
7th anniversary. One of the most consistent college programs in Southern California, and a lot of it too is I didn't do this all alone. In the beginning, when I was running the classes, I needed help, and Coach Heidi Lozano, she's a Checkmat affiliate. She joined our coaching staff, and I love Coach Heidi's philosophies and whatnot. She has the same passion for jiu-jitsu that I did. And I would say probably around, I think maybe around 2016 or whatnot is, because at the time I was a kines major, and I just graduated. And
that's an amazing thing to have for a jiu-jitsu practitioner.
Yeah.
You really understand the body. You're a dangerous man.
Yeah, all that studying I did. Yeah,
really?
Yeah.
It just blows me away, because what it takes to recover is also what it takes to damage someone.
Yeah.
So you know some stuff.
Yeah, well, I think it's very important. That's one thing that always I was fascinated about kinesiology. It was just the study of athletes and study of athletic performance. My degree is in kinesiology. My prime focus was teaching and coaching. So I minored in physical education, so we had to be able to teach these students. So teaching was already something in my blood that I was already priming myself for. And then what happened was, I would say about in 2016, after I graduated, we were still packed. Our classes in the rec center were huge. One of my college professors who I took for a coaching 101 class, she was the chair of the department at the kinesiology. And she approached me and said, "Hey, I heard that you're running a program out in the rec center." I said, "Yeah." I said, "I saw your numbers," and I'm like, "Oh, well, cool." And she was like, "Yeah." She's like, "Can you do that in the kinesiology department?" And I'm like, what are you saying?" I'm like, "Well, I'm saying that I guess she spoke with another professor, and she said we're trying to start a class in Cal State Fullerton in the kinesiology department." And they said if I wanted to take it over, it'd be called Kinesiology 150, which means beginning wrestling. And so I basically took over the class, got the nice little promotion that came with it.
That's cool.
And started teaching an actual. It's a half wrestling, half grappling class. We cover both sections of wrestling and grappling, and you get college credit for it. So
it's amazing, dude.
Yeah, it's something that I never thought it would happen. So I ended up taking over the kinesiology department in that class, and Coach Heidi took over the Titan Recreation Center classes.
Very cool.
Yeah, so
great to have a female too.
Oh yeah, Heidi's awesome. She is a great instructor.
Love that.
Yeah.
We need more of that. Even though there's tons of girls that I know, we need more. We need to balance it out. There's always one per every 5 or 6 guys.
Absolutely. What I admire most about Coach Heidi is her work ethic. She has a very strong work ethic, and she is a huge passion for helping others, and that's what it's all about. And it's when we were both going to school back then together, I mean, she was so passionate about coming up with ideas on how to get the class going and things like that, and how she wanted to bring more females into the class, because obviously, for females to come and try jiu-jitsu, especially in college, it's nervous. You're getting close and intimate with somebody, and so to see a female coach, instructor, maybe that would make the female students feel more comfortable.
Breaks down some walls.
Yes, exactly. And that's exactly what happened. The moment she took over the program, more females started coming into the class. And then, then obviously her classes started getting big, and it's awesome. I mean, she brings such a unique energy to the program, and she's doing a fantastic job with that department. She's bringing the students together. She's making collaboration amongst the other programs, and that's all we're still doing. So we have 2 sections now, both in the Titan Recreation Center and in the kinesiology department. So we're pretty much everywhere. And for me, the goal is my next step for me at Cal State Fullerton would be for me to get an actual gi class, where you can actually take a gi jiu-jitsu class and get college credit for it. So that's the goal. I
had no idea this is something that you still did. I thought maybe it was something in the past, but you've made a life out of this, dude. That's heavy.
Yeah.
And it's something I firmly believe. If you work hard, doors open.
I agree.
That's what I constantly try to instill in people that I talk to, is that hard work, man. Just do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It does help to have a direction. Don't just keep grinding away and think that you're eventually going to get to the promised land. You're going to have to reassess, change your sails a little bit, figure out what direction you need to go in, but continue with the work ethic and the hard work.
Absolutely. And I feel like if people just had more patience for the process, I think they would advance further. Because I think we have a tendency, and believe me, I've been there too, man. I've been there too. There have been times where I was working 3 jobs in college,
rough.
And it was hard, and I was trying to compete, trying to study, and I was living in a gym at the time, and I was just thinking to myself, it's like why, it's like, why am I doing this? It's like I'm working all these jobs and everything, and it's like I got nothing to show for it, and I'm still broke, I'm still wearing the same shirt every day, and it's like, but at the same time, I would kind of step back and just remind myself, be patient with the process.
Yes.
Be patient with the process. Believe in what you're doing. And when there were those moments where I felt like, man, why am I doing this? That's when I would finally I would get that realization. A student would come up to me and be like, hey, coach, you know what? Just so you know, that technique that you showed me the day, well, I hit in the tournament and I was able to do well. I'm like, awesome. Cool. And I think this is the one that really got to me. This was a student of mine who I coached at Cal State Fullerton. He first walked into my gym about 200 plus pounds, and he had a huge beard, and I didn't even recognize him, when I saw him now. But I just know that he came into my class at 200 pounds. I only had him for 1 semester, so I didn't even know if he'd continue training. Mm-hmm. Sure enough, after he graduated from Cal State, he took our class. After he graduated, he went off and joined a checkmat gym, and he ended up losing all that weight. And when I saw him, he paid me a visit at Anaheim, and he was 145, 50 pounds. He was just ripped, and he shaved the beard. I didn't even recognize him, and I couldn't believe it. And I asked him, I said, what happened? He said, oh, I took your class at Cal State Fullerton, and I just kept going. And when I saw that, and what it did to his life, that's when I said to myself, okay, this is why I do this.
You're changing lives, man. That's what it's about. And I think a lot of that work ethic, of course, is how you conduct yourself in the real world, whatever you might want to call that, whether it's a regular job, whether it's your relationship with a person. It's always that, right? It teaches you so much, and the humility and the humbleness that comes from it, putting your ego in check. It does help you, and it's problem solving. I've said this, I know, in a lot of shows that we do, but jiu-jitsu is problem solving. So we're confronted daily with obstacles and problems. Boy, right now, we've got a pretty big problem in the world, but yet I think the jiu-jitsu mindset is, how do I position myself to accept this, to get past this, to avoid certain things so I don't catch it if I don't have to.
Yeah.
It's kind of that whole thought process again, kind of how we position ourselves in our game.
Yeah. And I think, too, it's an opportunity. I think it's an opportunity because it's an opportunity for all of us to kind of just sit back and reflect and be with our families and just be still.
Oh, huge, right?
Because let's face it, we live in California. We're in a hurry. And sometimes we're in a hurry to go nowhere. And a lot of times we kind of fail to see what's really important because we always feel like, because every time you talk to somebody or you ask how they're doing, what do they say? Oh, I'm busy. I'm doing well, man, but dude, oh boy, am I busy. But I know because I'm guilty of that. I say that all the time. And this is really given not just me, but all of us an opportunity to kind of be still, to be with our families, to just reflect, to maybe just rest and heal up. Because we all have injuries.
No joke. Yeah, man, no joke.
Yeah, and I think it's also a good opportunity to maybe to learn something new. Like for me, I'm using this time right now to continue to build my business. Both me and my brothers. And right now we're using it as an opportunity to, like, for instance, I never really felt comfortable speaking in front of a camera. I know this.
Wow.
I know this may sound weird.
No,
I'm in front of a camera right now.
You're well spoken. You're obviously a teacher. Obviously a professor of jiu-jitsu and of wrestling and all these things. So you're very well spoken and articulate. So I find that hard to believe. But you did mention you're a quiet guy. So I think we're getting it out of you. But you know what I mean? So
yeah.
I guess it's time and place.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, I think for me, like, what I wanted to do was I always wanted to be able to speak in front of a camera to my Instagram audience and really just kind of talk more about jiu-jitsu and wrestling and just figure out a way out how I can help others. And I've always been shy to the camera, but now I've been putting myself in front of the camera because my brother and I have been filming nonstop since this whole thing happened.
I can imagine.
Yeah, we've been filming for the students. I mean, we started to film for Cal State.
I saw that.
We have to film for ABW and everything else, and so we've just been filming nonstop, and it's been giving us an opportunity to kind of step out of our comfort zones because my brother also doesn't like to be in front of a camera, but he's learning to, and it's crazy too because with Instagram, it provides a really good platform. I think social media, if used right, has an opportunity to be used as a light, to be a positive light in a sometimes in a sea full of negativity. And it's just one of those things where it's like, because I think Instagram got started like in 2010,
something like
that. And for me, I started using Instagram in I want to say 2011, 2012. And if you scroll all the way to the bottom, because obviously I post a lot, if you scroll all the way to the bottom, you just see how it was not so much creation, it was more just documenting. It was documenting the journey, like me at work, working my 3 jobs, teaching at Cal State Fullerton. Like you can see the 5 students there in the picture. You can see my little low budget healthy meals that I had. I think it was pasta and potatoes, and I'm like, oh, I made it myself. Look at this healthy training camp food, but it's all carbs. Obviously, I didn't know that. So, but like, it's just one of those things where it's like you see the evolution of what's going on, and I think people should focus more like on trying to use their platforms to really help others, and don't worry about creating, but documenting the struggle, documenting the mistakes that you make, because it's okay, we all make mistakes, but to see someone grow from it and rise like a phoenix,
so true.
It's like that's what it's all about. You know what I mean? It's like create that opportunity, create that moment of failure, and then we just watch you rise. Because people can relate to that. And I relate to that. Yeah. So.
And eyes are on you. So hats off to you for being a good example, because it's a platform, all social media, for people to put out whatever they want, and where they want an image of what they see themselves as, or kind of like you said, I like to think of it as like a journal.
Yeah.
It's a visual journal of our journey.
Yeah.
Whether it be jiu-jitsu or everything we do in life. I was a late starter. I complained about it. All my friends are like, dude, can you get Facebook? I'm like, no, I'm not into it. And then I don't even know why I got an Instagram, but my very first post, if I remember correctly, was my gi with a purple belt wrapped up, and I chucked it, and then I bought myself a brand new gi because I used the same gi for all those years. As long as I could keep it alive, it was shredded. Awesome. It smelled like hell.
I can relate.
I got a new gi and wrapped my brown belt on it and said, there's the new me. And that was my first post, and that wasn't but just a few years ago.
Awesome, man.
But, that's when I started, and that's what my posts were. And then, of course, Robert started the podcast studio, and then everything kind of shifted towards what we're doing with Gym Crashers and Free Admission Media and those kind of things. And then I every once in a while I'd throw in what my real life. I mean, I got kids, I got grandkids, and all that. So I throw them all in there too. Awesome. So it is a journal, and it's a reminder of where we came from. And I like that. It isn't, to me, I can't fake it. I'm just me, and that's sometimes an argument because I have a microphone in front of me. I'm sorry, I just be it, and they know.
Yeah,
it's like a brotherhood here. We all did jiu-jitsu together, so
absolutely.
They're like, yeah, we get it, but can you try a little harder? I'm like, yeah, I get it, no problem. So yeah, my whole Instagram, and now I have a Facebook. I gave in because I guess it's a tool for business communication. I didn't know this.
Absolutely.
And I almost don't believe them. They're still trying to convince me. I got it, and they're like, you need to be on there because there are groups. And we can learn from this. These jiu-jitsu groups and MMA groups and all these different things, so we know what's going on from all that stuff.
Facebook ads for the show, things like that, which are highly undervalued and but provide a lot of value, I think. So just things like that, and it's all a learning process, and that's cool because when you start to learn and figure out the whole idea of the social media and like the tools that it provides and things like that, whether it be to help your business or to help your podcast or to help whatever your goal is. It can really do awesome things, and it can reach people on a personal level, because when you're passionate about something, you can't fake passion. It's because you love it, you enjoy it.
It's a fact, yeah.
Exactly, and people are going to see that, and they're going to be drawn to it, and that's why I think that these are valuable tools. And so when people smash social media all the time and whatnot, I can understand, but it also depends. Well, what are you listening to? What kind of content are you absorbing on a regular basis? What kind of negativity are you exposing yourself to? Or not, I wouldn't say negativity, but who are you exposing yourself to?
Or putting out there. You might be one of the guilty parties.
Yeah.
Yeah,
believe me, yeah, because I've gotten like a comment or negative comment here and there once in a while, and it's understandable. For me, it doesn't bother me because you know what, the way I see it is it's more of a reflection on them. It's more, to me, it says that you have to be in a pretty rough spot in your life to want to throw shade or hate in someone else.
Yeah.
But I don't really take it personal. I really don't, because like I said, it's more kind of on them. But at the same time, I wish them the best, and I hope that they find what they're happy about, because that way they can share it with the world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you find that it's easier to walk away from those kind of situations because you know what you're capable of?
Absolutely.
That's cool.
Absolutely, yeah, 100%. And I think I would say that jiu-jitsu has definitely taught me that. Yeah, without a doubt. It just because we can doesn't give us the right to.
That's right.
I think you should fear the man who has self-control.
Yeah.
Who masters himself.
Yeah. You were mentioning earlier how strongly you went about your early training, and I think that sums it up in a word: is self-control. When you're rolling, you can see that you've led people on a path and could have taken 3 or 4 different submissions, but you're just walking them. That's when you know. You know what I mean? When you're working is essentially what it is. You let your students work because you're not there to take and reap and submit. It is about them working and trying to get things on you.
Yeah, brown belt for me is an exciting belt, and that's where I feel like I'm learning that the most. I feel like brown belt when I first got my brown belt, because I've always been promoted on the podium. I've never been promoted in front of my peers in the gym until I got my brown belt. Yeah, so I'm not gonna lie, I was kind of looking forward to getting promoted on the podium throughout my belt years. And
that's killer. Yeah.
Just
that's a great accomplishment.
Well, yeah, thank you.
I really respect that.
Thank you, I appreciate that. For me, it's just because I feel like I belong out there. I feel like what, that's my area, the competition mats. That's where I would want it all to happen. Just because I know it's the highest honor, and that's where I live for out there, just that competition. But I got promoted in front of my peers in February of, I think it was 2018. Yeah, I got promoted, and I really didn't know what to say, because I think they had me give a mini speech, and I was already like stumbling for words, and then I was just kind of like but I gave a little speech, and then after that, but anyway, like once I got the brown belt, you can easily tell. Like the margin for errors is slim in competitions, because believe me, it's
and the movement. Yeah, the movement's quite less. I haven't competed at this level. I got injured shortly thereafter, and haven't been myself since, I have to admit. But you're right. That when you look at the brown belt and black belt brackets, you're fighting for centimeters. The game changes.
Oh my goodness.
That level of chess is like, it's war games.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So.
Yes.
Yeah, it's kind of mind-blowing that it gets to that level, and then I think it loosens up again, depending on your competitor too.
It's kind of loosened up a bit, not too much, but it has. I think being consistent in the circuit really helps a lot, because I'm constantly getting matches all the time. I'm probably getting like anywhere between like 45 to 50 matches a year, and that really helps out a lot.
That's huge.
Yeah, that's just what we're used to, wrestling.
You're like a Marine. You really are. You're just at war all the time.
Well, I know like when I roll with my students and whatnot at the brown belt, I let them pass my guard. Sure. I even let certain upper belts pass my guard. Yeah. And I find myself now more like working on like specifically like focused on only certain positions. Like for instance, how do I know if my frames are going to be good, or my ability to recover guard is good? I gotta let them pass my guard. So I let people pass my guard, and I work on my frames, and I recover guard. That's how I build that confidence. So when I get in that situation, when someone actually does pass my guard in competition, I'm out quickly, because I've already drilled and trained that bad position. Sometimes I'll let people mount me, if someone mounts me, same thing. I just start working my mount escapes and whatnot. So, but how do you get better at it? You got to put yourself in those positions, in
deep
those
water.
situations. Yeah. And sometimes, I'm not gonna lie, sometimes I'll do it in practice, and people will be like, well, "What are you doing?" Like when I roll, like with
Working.
someone, yeah, exactly. Like they'll look at me like, "What are you doing?" Like, but like I won't say anything because I don't really say much. So when they pass my guard, I just work my way out and recover guard. But with my students, that's different. Like when I'm with my students, it's assessment. I let them pass my guard. I let them take my back. I let them get me in spider web. I let them choke me so I can kind of work my way out of it. I want to see how they react to it.
Yeah.
Because I love to see their evolution. I love to see them grow.
Mm-hmm.
I like the growth process.
Mm-hmm.
And when I see that in them, and if I see them remember something, or I see them hit a technique that I showed, and they remembered and they hit it on me, it's like, to me, it's like, oh, amen, that's awesome, that's beautiful.
Killer.
It's
a great way to be. Yeah.
Yes.
And I think some people need to finish in order to get that confidence to learn how to continually go for it, you know?
Yeah.
If they don't have that feeling of, I just tapped someone, they don't know they can ever get there. Because you can spend a year or two not tapping anybody, you know what I mean? You really can, just getting grinded.
Yeah, and for me, I think that's an area right now that I'm trying to really work on, because I'm doing a lot of submission-only competitions now. So when I had a super fight recently in Las Vegas for Submission Pro Hunters, and it was putting me in those situations where I need to go for the kill. So for me, I think it's just important where I have to kind of assess myself after watching the video. And I said, okay, look, this is where I need to work on. I need to drill and make sure I secure this position, and then from there go for that finish. But I can't spend too much time, because otherwise, these types of matches end in draws. So I always try to make sure I drill my finishes. I make sure I drill my transition to my finishes and things like that. And it's just one of those things where it's like, the learning never stops. You have to practice what you preach. And that's one thing I try to focus. If I be a good student, I'm going to be a good practitioner, and I'll be a good coach. So it all trickles down.
It's great. No, you're living it, man. I love that. Now, you mentioned Titans. We know what you're doing there with kinesiology. What about USKO? Is that something separate?
Yeah, USKO Anaheim is a One Jiu-Jitsu affiliate school. It's a new gym. We're almost approaching a year, I think. And I'm happy to be there. I've been coaching there. I'm there with Coach Joey Pagliuso, who is a brown belt under Jiva Santana as well. And he's a very decorative kickboxer, a great coach, and just a fantastic human being. I love working with Joey. He's an amazing guy. And of course, me and my brother run Arreola Brothers Wrestling out of there too as well. ABW.
ABW. Right?
Yeah.
What's that on Instagram? People got to know.
Oh, yeah. That's A_Brothers_Wrestling.
A_Brothers_Wrestling. You got to get on it, because daily they're posting stuff.
Yes. We just came out with our new online curriculum, because obviously with the situation going on, we still want to keep our members, pumped and excited about wrestling. So we just came out with a new online curriculum. That's ABW_online. And we basically, me and my brother have been filming for like the past 2 weeks, just wrestling technique, wrestling tips, strength and conditioning. Because that's one thing that came in handy too. When I was in college, my internship was a strength and conditioning coach.
Oh wow!
So I did strength and conditioning conditioning instructing for about 3 years. So it's one of those things where it's like I've always been passionate about doing this type of exercises and functional training. So now we be able to expose that to my wrestlers is awesome. So we're doing a lot of good things with ABW. We're building up our own team of wrestlers. Our goal is to give back to the community and pay it forward to all the Orange County wrestlers, LA County wrestlers, IE, wherever you're at. We're here to help you.
Very cool.
Yeah, I know, because me and my brother both came up from the Orange County wrestling community. We're products of it. And we saw what the sport of wrestling did for us. It got us a college scholarship. It got us a chance to be able to to do different things. It got my brother's education funded and everything. So, and that's all we want to do to our athletes. We want to be able to get them to college. We want to be able to use wrestling as a tool to get them to further their education and get a good career, or just teach them the values that we instill.
Yeah, the discipline alone,
Yeah, we have a lot of girls. Our girls program is doing very well. We actually just had our first athlete. She signed with the college.
Really?
Yeah, she signed.
Amazing.
Yeah, she had a great year with us. She went all the way to state, and she just signed with York College in Nebraska.
That's awesome.
So so it's a full ride. She used wrestling as a tool to get her a free education. and that's going to make a huge impact in her life. And
She's going to be a beast wrestling in Nebraska.
well, that's where my brother's from.
Right?
Yeah, my brother wrestles from
Hucking bales of hay.
There you go. Yeah, no joke. Yeah, so yeah, that's I'm very proud of her. I'm very proud of all our girls and all our athletes that are working hard right now.
Yeah.
That's all we're trying to do is just pay it back to the youth, because we understand what it's like to to go to those tournaments every weekend and put in the work, put in the time, go through the grind. And when you got coaches that are actively competing, actively training, that are just looking to just help make them the best athletes they can be, the best human beings they can be, and to see them succeed in their goals and get a college scholarship or maybe win CIF or win their league title or win Masters
Big deals,
or state.
Man.
Yeah, that's to us.
Those are all the stepping stones.
Those are all the stepping stones. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and right now ABW is in the process of kind of finalizing, getting everything done so we can become an official USA Wrestling Club. So that way we can continue to pay it forward and get our athletes sponsored that want to compete and everything. So yeah.
Very cool. Very cool. That kind of brings up my next question. Where do you guys, or as a brotherhood, you and your brothers are doing this, where do you kind of see yourself in the near future? Are the goals just to push ABW? Are you thinking about doing anything in the MMA world? You got a kickboxing coach. How's your Muay Thai? Just curious.
Well, I mean, I know we talked about it before the show, but it'd be nice before, to check something off the bucket list. I would like to fight MMA. Maybe, I mean, I know to me it was just a pipe dream, but then now that I got Coach Joey with me and everything, I thought about maybe taking a fight. We'll see. But if it did, it'd be like an amateur fight, obviously.
Sure.
But we'll see what happens though. But I know, in terms of the future with ABW, the goal is to definitely work with a lot of athletes, to work with a lot of fighters. Actually, we have 2 MMA fighters and we have a few BJJ grapplers that are under our wing right now. So that's the cool thing about ABW is that we teach wrestling, but we understand that wrestling practices are very, very intense. And we find that when a lot of our members in the past, where they would go and try and learn wrestling, let's say at a high school or at a college or at a club, they would kind of get beat up. They would get beat up, or they would be kind of more like a tool for the high level wrestlers. You know what I mean? It was one of those things where it's like we understand that wrestling is a very, very spending sport. It's very intense. It requires a lot of energy, and it can be sometimes pretty intense and very very abusive sometimes.
Yeah.
So
it takes a lot out of the person.
It does. It takes a lot out of you. So what we did at ABW is we have our class caters not only just to high school wrestlers and the college wrestlers, but to the learning adults. We have a lot of family members that are BJJ grapplers that are in their 30s, that are in their 20s. I think we have one wrestler or one BJJ grappler who we have they're from Atos, another one from Checkmat. So they come out and they want to learn wrestling from us, and we appreciate that. We understand that they want to better their grappling game, and a lot of the times they would say, hey, look, you know what, I would go to competitions and I would meet a wrestler in my bracket and I would lose because obviously my wrestling isn't that good. So that's why they came to us, and we train them. And plus it helps too because we already have a jiu-jitsu background, so we know those positions already to look out for.
Sure.
Yeah, how to catch them.
You guys fill in the gaps.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, that's what we do. Yeah, so we cater to not just wrestlers. We cater to BJJ grapplers. We cater to learning adults. We have a kids program, ABW Kids. We have a lot of girl wrestlers and whatnot. And we want to make sure we cater to everybody. Yeah, and plus we do wrestling conditioning, strength and conditioning. So we try to cater to all their needs.
Very cool, very cool.
Yeah.
So the focus really is to grow ABW.
But at the same time, for me, I know that I know I'm a brown belt, and I know what's next. And for me, I love jiu-jitsu. I'm always going to train jiu-jitsu. I'm always going to compete jiu-jitsu. I don't see myself retiring anytime in the near future. Maybe if I win a Masters World Black Belt World title or a Nogi World title, that's what I'll probably call it. But without a doubt, obviously my goal, in the near future is to one day maybe have my own gym, a jiu-jitsu gym. But the difference is that we're gonna have jiu-jitsu and wrestling.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. So, and believe me, it's gonna be a house full of hybrids.
I like that. That is something different. I mean, I go to a lot of different places, and people mix it up. You got Muay Thai, you got boxing,
Sure.
you got wrestling, you got jiu-jitsu. But I've not seen somebody with a really, really strong wrestling background growing both programs together simultaneous. That'd be something cool.
Yeah.
I guess CSW, they do something really cool with catch wrestling, but even that's a little different than Roman Greco.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah, it's different. Yeah, for sure. They do a lot of catch wrestling. I saw some of the locks and everything. They're pretty interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I know Josh Barnett teaches a lot of the technique and everything, and I'm sure they have other coaches there too. But yeah, the catch wrestling it's very interesting.
It is.
Because it reminds me of like Bret Hart's dad, like Stu Hart, because I know he was big on catch wrestling. Like the catches catch can.
Catches catch can. That's
Yeah.
the tagline. Actually, I hear that a lot. It's funny.
Yeah, apparently there's levels to like catch wrestling. Like,
Yeah.
I know they may sound weird, but I think there's a I know I'm probably gonna butcher the
I
names.
couldn't paraphrase it either.
There's like catches. There's like catch can, then there's like grappler, and there's one called hooker and everything. And it's
Yeah.
like I'm assuming like like I don't know if they allow fish hooking, but I don't think so. But it's like it's crazy. They have these weird levels. They have these levels, and some of the names are pretty intimidating. I was
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
whoa,
It's different. It's a different world.
it's a completely
Like,
different
Sambo's a whole different thing too.
Oh my
Because of the
goodness.
throws and everything, right?
Mhm,
So
yeah.
there's other grappling arts that are still very, very important. I think they still have some things that can be integrated.
Absolutely, yeah.
You know.
Yeah, but I'm really excited to be part of USKO Anaheim because I know we're doing something very special there in the city of Anaheim, and I know we're growing our programs, both our kids Muay Thai, our kids Jiu-Jitsu, adult programs as well, and I'm really excited. I like working with the students. I
Cool.
love working with Coach Joey, and I could definitely see us doing something big there. So guys, you can check us out at USKO_Anaheim, and yeah, we're located in the city in Anaheim off the 91 freeway.
It's awesome. Which brings us to our next question.
Ah.
Where can people find you on social media?
Oh, you can find me at Instagram at RA140. Facebook, Richard Arreola. I just started a TikTok.
I don't even have that.
I'm learning, but look out though, it's coming.
Right? And
yeah.
they are posting daily on the ABW Instagram.
Yeah, that's ABW Arreola Brothers Wrestling. That's A_Brothers_Wrestling. You'll see us with the big American flag on there. That's us.
Diego, man. These guys are the real deal. Red, your brother Red. Love that dude. Got to get him on the show next.
Red, where you at?
Right? Where you at, buddy?
Yeah.
But Richard, thank you so much. This has been some incredible insight. I got to bring you back to do it again. We already killed almost an hour and a half. So
Wow.
we're going to consider this chapter 1. I'm going to beg him for his time another day, and we're going to go through a new chapter
Yeah.
from where we left off. But you can find me at Dondo the Gym Crasher on Instagram, John Dondo on Facebook. We are Gym Crashers Live every Tuesday, live at 7 p.m. Like us, subscribe to us, share the link. We will see you at the next Jiu-Jitsu, MMA, boxing, wrestling, whatever event may be out there when California comes back to life. Doing our thing. My man here, definitely out there in the world. So hit him up if you need wrestling, Jiu-Jitsu in your life. You know where to find him. USKO, Titans faculty, right here in
I'm
front
everywhere.
of me. Right? He's doing his thing. So, man, such a pleasure. We would do the handshake
Likewise, my
thing,
friend.
but we're going to honor the social distancing. So I'll bump your elbow. Boom!
Right there.
Right?
Yeah.
So Richard Arreola, thank you so much.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Tune in again. We're going to catch him again when things start moving to see what he's up to. So thank you for watching. And again, this is Gym Crashers Live. Check us out next Tuesday.
Bye.
Thanks, buddy.
Thank you, man.
That's cool.
That's cool, man.
Dug it.
Dug it, man. Yeah, definitely got to get my brother in here. Yeah, I got
Hell
my
yeah.
brother Jason, my brother Red.
Right on.
Yeah.
I don't know Jason. I knew Red's out there doing his
Yeah,
thing.
Red's out there, yeah.
Has Jason